Hey, welcome. So today I wanted to talk about the real secret so that you can look and feel young. One of the most important pieces around this is that as women in middle age, I'm 57 right now, I'm constantly getting marketed about supplements or hormone regulation or skin products, right? Or a new workout routine. And there are all of these messages that are sort of telling us the way to feel enlivened, alive, to feel our vitality, to feel that we matter, right? And that there is possibility in front of us in our life as we get into this new phase and stage, is that if we change our physical, our external, then suddenly magically, right, then we're gonna feel better. And that is a bunch of crap, because we know, and I'm sure you know, whether it's a celebrity or someone you know in real life who, had the surgery, their hair looks amazing, they have a certain body type, or they're still athletic, or they're climbing mountains or running marathons, and they're still not feeling alive, right? They feel stagnant, they feel stuck. And so this first piece that I really want you to understand is that the secret to feeling enlivened and feel young again, right? Where that young again to me feels like, remember when you felt like there was just nothing but possibility in your life, and you felt free and you felt excited and you felt sort of like wild, and like anything was possible. So this feeling, this felt sense, right? Just imagine what even you experienced as I described that. Kind of has nothing to do with our gray hair, right? We want to do all those external things because they make us feel good. But the key, right? We have to, that key is that we have to sort of disconnect from that marketing hype, because that is just there to help you click, to help you buy, to help you understand a truth that is ever elusive, right? Because the truth is we're never going to look like we did when we were 25, right? So when we believe that, we're falling into that pattern of like, okay, well, if I do this, then I'll feel happy. Okay, well, now I need to do this, then I'll feel happy. Okay, so that's number one. So number two is then, well, what is it, right? Why isn't that working? Is because it's missing the most important thing. Now, I have worked with clients for about 16 years. It's kind of a crazy fun fact that when I first started coaching, I was 40, right? So it was a long ass time ago, right? And now I'm in a different phase and stage of my life. So it's been really fun to watch and coach women who came to me when I was 40, who were in their 50s or mid 40s or 60s, and now being in that age and phase of my life. And what I know from working with women for the last 16 years or so is that the key to looking and feeling more vital is actually within your nervous system regulation. Now, here's the thing. Nervous system regulation has recently become like a cool trend, right? There's a lot more marketing on regulating your nervous system, on doing somatic work, which is like whole body alignment, right? Like the idea that we store our trauma in our body. Okay, so that's now popular on Instagram. But what I want you to know is that I've been doing this work, that exact work, for 16 years, before it was cool, before it was new to you. And so what I know from helping people regulate their nervous system is that what happens is that, and this is some really deep work that comes from a gentleman whose name is Dr. Sheldon Gardner, and I'm going to refer to him because he made it so simple. And this is the deal. So when you are developing, your brain is developing, right? There are certain experiences that help your brain develop from the attached identity, right, that you have as a child to parent, to individuate, to separate, and to become who you are, your adult self. And what happens is that along the way, we have different kinds of traumas, whether they're capital T traumas, I call them, like sexual abuse or physical abuse, or any of those on the spectrum from, like in my case, I had a family that didn't have any of those things, but my father was never around because he was always working, right? So I didn't have that connection, right? So I just am saying that so you understand that whatever your trauma is, it doesn't have to be big and dramatic. It can be, I'm going to call it a little t, but the impact to your brain is just as big, and your development. And there is nothing wrong or right with anything in between that spectrum, but just understand that whatever flavor you got in childhood, it will impact your brain development, okay? So Dr. Gardner makes it really, really simple, and he uses this example, and he says that imagine you ask a 3-year-old to move a couch. Now, that 3-year-old, that task is too overwhelming for a 3-year-old, right? They couldn't move the couch, right? And in their brain, they make that mean, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm being asked to do something, I can't perform it, kind of I suck, right? Now, if you mix in an actual parent voice or a surrogate parent voice saying like you suck because you can't move the metaphorical couch, that makes it harder, right? But what I want you to understand is this, right? So when we are young and we have those traumatic experiences that are physical abuse, sexual abuse, parents arguing, being told you're not good enough, being told you have to do it perfectly, not being the favorite child, having a parent who works a lot and isn't present for you, any of the variety of having a lot of siblings and having to be seen and find your space, being bullied, right? Like all of these things. So what happens is these are the equivalent of emotionally being asked to move a couch. And so what happens is that we internalize that to a point where we believe it's true, right? And now every time we get in a situation that re-triggers that old felt sense of like, I'm not enough, our nervous system, right, gets fried because we're constantly trying to compensate for that feeling, right? We can't self-soothe. We don't know that we're enough. We don't know how to manage our feelings. The feelings that come up feel really big and scary. And so we create a whole system, right, of operating, which are roles that we take on in our family, roles that we take in our life, that then come with behaviors, right, that ultimately fry our nervous system. And we're repeating those childhood experiences, the felt sense, right, of what it was like to be asked to do these tasks that were so big, over and over and over again. And what Dr. Gardner says is that as a result of this, it's like you have a smoke detector, looking always hyper vigilant, right? So again, this is all unconscious, hyper vigilant, constantly scanning, like, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And that smoke detector constantly being on and going off all the time is an overload, right, to our system. And if we don't actually learn how to rewire that system, then the rush of cortisol and adrenaline, all of those things that happen in our body start to create dis-ease or disease, right? That helps the aging process flourish, right? Meaning that like we get wrinkles, we get ill, we have that, middle belly fat, right? All those things that those products are saying, like, this is the way to solve it, right? But as you can see, right, from this explanation I've given you, is that without doing the internal piece, without really understanding how do I go to the root, right, of that problem, whereby our neural pathway is rooted in a way in which we are not managing stressors because we internalize them, then forevermore, all we're doing is trying to manage that cortisol and adrenaline with things like products or affirmations or going to yoga or working out, which are great because in the moment they like kind of clear out the system. But again, remember, you have the old wiring. So it doesn't matter that you're a damn adult woman, right? When those situations happen, smoke detector goes off, you're constantly looking, constantly alerted. It takes energy away. And so instead of creating healthy cells, instead of creating a lightness, we just feel like crap and we look like crap and we look haggard as hell, right? Because it feels heavy, all of that. Imagine walking around with a smoke detector on for your whole damn life. So what are some steps that you can take, right, so that you can start to remove the smoke detector? Now, I remember being single for like 5 years after my first marriage, and I got a divorce. And I remember when the smoke alarm would go off. And, we've all probably had that situation where it's beeping and you're literally running around your house. It's the middle of the night and you're like, where the freaking, I want to swear, is that thing, right? And I remember one time I literally was like had a broom and I was taking the handle and I was like, stop, make it stop, right? That's what we want to do. Now, when you do this, I want you to know that everything changes. So I have this client, her name is Jamie, and she came to me and she's gorgeous, amazing human, divorced. She comes to me and she's like, I just don't feel enough. I feel constantly judged. I feel like I have to be perfect. She tells me her version of her experiences of, being asked to move a couch. And we have to start rewiring the brain using this process that I'm going to teach you. And it didn't take 6 months of therapy or 6 years. It was literally going in and finding those key points, which I'm going to explain to you in a minute, of where that first initial smoke detector went off, that first task, the first moment where that younger part of you had the big T or the little t trauma. And actually going in and doing this process, the ACE process, I'm going to show you in a second, and start to rewire these old pathways and create new neural pathways that are, and this is the key part, aligned with your adult self, who you really are now. You have to start to individuate from the old patterns, the old identity, to who are you now? And for some of you, you're like literally like, I don't even know who I am without these patterns, right? For Jamie, it was like, if I'm not being perfect and being gracious and being the best host and having my hair the best and taking care of other people and doing it perfectly, then what am I, right? So we had to do that revealing work of like finding those little T's and big T's. We had to release them, and I'm going to show you the process quickly here in a minute. And then you have to rejuvenate, which means you have to like actually start to figure out, who am I now, okay? So when we did that with Jamie, just in a matter like of working together for 4 months, literally, like, she looked back at her goals and she was like, I can't even believe I believed that I wasn't enough, or that I didn't accept myself or my body the way I am. That I would walk into a room of other people or couples or people that I thought were better than me and feel insecure because now I feel more connected. And so in the space of those 16 weeks, she rewired her neural pathway. She starts to feel younger. She starts to feel lighter. People are asking her, and this happens to my clients all the time, what have you been doing, right? Like, you look completely different. She starts dating. She meets some amazing guys. She actually launches a side hustle because she wants to move out of her business and career that she's been in for 30 years and do something new for the next chapter. All these things happen just from beginning with actually regulating the nervous system. So here are the steps. I call it the ACE process. And ACE stands for affirm, right? Affirm. And then the C is confirm, and the E is educate. So affirm is really, we have to actually go to the moment where the first time you remember that feeling of feeling like not enough, or whatever your flavor is, not feeling perfect, not feeling good enough, feeling like you aren't performing well and you're a disappointment. Whatever that moment is, and you may have many and you may not remember one exactly, and that's okay. You just want to imagine one from your past. And the reason why I'm closing my eyes is because I can scan, like in my own life, I see my clients, like they're like, when's the first time I remember? Oh, I remember, right? So just pick one, and you want to actually close your eyes and you want to imagine yourself being in the felt sense, and I know this might be scary, right? And that's okay. Of that first time where that feeling, right, of not being safe came up for you. And you want to access that part of you, which in our campus we call a little who. Because the who you are defines what you do and how you do it. So it's like your identity, your little who identity, that little 3-year-old or 5-year-old or 7-year-old or 12-year-old or 15-year-old or a 17-year-old, whatever it is that had this experience happen, right? A big emotional experience that is attached to a situation creates a trauma, a T, of various sizes, right? Capital, lowercase, big, little, 10, 12 point font, 100-point font, whatever it is for you. And so what you want to do is you want to go in and imagine a dialogue with that part of you. Like you were the healthy parent, and you would sit down and you would talk to that part of you, and you would say, oh my God, honey, I am so sorry that this happened to you, right? Like this is not okay, right? And when you do this, you're not making your parents aren't wrong or bad. This isn't about that. I love my dad. To the day he died, I healed all that stuff. He was just acting out of his patterns, right? So it's really just being in a place of holding the humanity of all of us. When I work with people, we cover this in a very big way. So, but it's going in and really just imagine you're the adult, and you could call that teenager, that 7-year-old, and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry this happened to you. That was not okay. And this is a really important piece. Most of us go to therapy and we are like, oh, I know that happened. Yeah, that happened. Oh, I understand. Aha, it makes perfect sense. That's not enough. You have to go in. You actually have to have that little conversation in your heart, in your mind, and acknowledge to that part of yourself, like, this sucked. It's not okay. And you're right to feel overwhelmed, sad, scared, unhappy. Then you confirm that it makes perfect sense they felt this way, and you want to use those words. It makes perfect sense that you believed you weren't enough. It makes perfect sense that you believed it was your job to make everyone else happy. And you're going to explain why. Of course it makes sense that you thought that, right? Because this was a situation. So again, you are coming into this imagined conversation. And by the way, some people like to write it out. You can imagine it. You can visualize it. You don't need to light a candle. You don't need to find the perfect time. It's just taking time to do it. And then the last place is educate, the E. And that is where you say, little who, right? Little Marni, little Jamie. Listen, you did a great job of trying to keep me safe. Like, you did the best job you could. And you know what? You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to have a whole system set up, that hypervigilance, like looking out for me. You don't have to do it anymore, because I am an adult now. And I am learning the skills to manage my emotions, to set boundaries, to ask for what I need. Whatever it is, right? That you're watching this video, right? Like I'm studying it. I'm like, I'm working to heal that. I'm here because I want my next chapter to be led by me, my adult self, not you. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. I've got this. Right? And that's you're educating this little who, that your new who, your true self, your powerful self has got it. This is not a one and done process. It is a repetitive process. It is in the moment when you start to feel that trigger to go have this ACE conversation allows you to just like, you don't have to bang with the broom. You're just like, turn in the smoke detector off, right? When you do this, everything starts to calm down, right? Your hypervigilance diminishes. Your prefrontal cortex of your brain goes like, right? And you can access your wisdom, your adult self, your rational brain, the part of you that probably shows up in your life when you're not triggered, right? Once you start to master this, everything changes, right? Because you feel empowered, you feel light, you are literally stopping the flow of cortisol and adrenaline that's like flooding your body all the time, right? You're getting flooded with those hormones, and it heals your body from the inside out. And that is the real secret to looking and feeling young again. If you would like to discuss how we can incorporate this into your next chapter, absolutely book a call with me so we can figure out if we're a fit. There is a link in the description of this video. Hope this was helpful. Mwah.